Well, hello there. My name is Matt Hahn. I'm a product owner with Disney Parks Experiences and Products. Specifically, I work in our digital commerce space with direct to consumer, connecting our physical products to our guests through our digital products. And during my time with Disney, I've had the pleasure of being a part of some amazing products, both physical and digital, and bringing them to our guests. Now, I won't be sharing any behind the scenes magic. So if you were looking for tidbits about future plans or how The Mandalorian season 3 might look, I'm not here to tell you about that, but I am excited to share some of my knowledge and experience in the form of what I call product alchemy. So let's start with why I'm using the term alchemy in the first place. Alchemy probably conjures this idea of this 16th century scientist working by candlelight, tinkering with different chemicals, spying out of a rudimentary telescope, etc., and more likely trying to turn lead into gold. While nobody was really specifically able to do that, we as product owners are asked to do that all the time. And by lead, I mean of problems. We are given a problem to solve for and create an opportunity for our company and our users to create some value and earn some value from that. So we are turning lead into gold all the time. And that's really the reason why I chose alchemy as the title of today's webinar. I think it's a fun and whimsical way to kind of think about product alchemy. And ultimately, all alchemists were just scientists and problem solvers, and they were wondering about the world around them and trying to make it better or trying to understand it better. And I think that's what we do a lot in our product journeys. So with that said, let's move on to what we want to accomplish today, which is preparing for surprises as product managers. First and foremost, we have to build some resiliency into our products. The plans, the project, the timeline, all of that has to come together to demonstrate resiliency, to help us be fortified against any problems that might arise. Next, we have to do the best job that we can to anticipate problems we'll have and set ourselves up for success. And finally, we don't have to do any of this alone. In fact, we can't do any of this alone. We have to collaborate with others, whether they're on our direct team or with our larger organizations. So we're going to spend time talking about each one of these things today. Now, before we get started about that, I do want to talk about the product managers themselves and things that I see as being critical to success. So product owners are inherently, at least in my opinion, again, curious. They want to know how a product could work better, how problems are really arising, why users are doing the things that they're doing, and how could they solve the friction that's there. So being curious by nature is very helpful in being a product owner. And next, you can be curious, but if you don't have grit or fortitude to see that curiosity and want to solve those problems and bring that to market, you're not going to get very far in product ownership. So having grit, I think, is an important part for all people, all leaders, but product owners in particular need to be gritty and resilient themselves. Next, candid. So there is a difference between being candid and being honest. We expect everybody to be honest, but what candid brings is bringing that honesty to people where it makes the most sense. And what I mean by that is somebody may ask your opinion and you don't want to lie to them. And that's being honest. So you tell them your opinion. Being candid not only would serve up that opinion when asked, but when you really see something going on, that you would bring that up to somebody. So not only have you made an observation, but you have the courage to share that with the right people and say, hey, I think we're going down the wrong path here. Help me understand why we're making these choices, because in my observation, from my perspective, this is how I see this going, and I don't think it's exactly where we want to go. So being candid is a step above that. And I don't get any kind of kickback for this. This has nothing to do with me or why I'm here today, but there is a great book by Ed Catmull. And if you recognize the name, he was a co-founder of Pixar, and he wrote a book called Creativity, Inc. And he spoke specifically about how candor and collaboration are key to the success of Pixar. And that leads me to the next piece of being collaborative. Product owners are not on an island by themselves. They are working with a lot of different people, both directly and indirectly. Even if you're at a small startup, you're probably not by yourself. Unless you're working in your own room, dorm room, garage, backyard on a laptop and doing an app by yourself, you're working with others. So it's really important that you can do that in a positive way. And finally, product owners also have to be leaders in the space, on their teams, and amongst their peers. That takes time, it takes experience, it takes practice to be a good leader, and a passion for leadership in order to really fine tune those skills. But I think that leadership is really key to bringing a product from an idea to market. And then finally, all of these attributes are really important for problem solvers. Product owners are problem solvers. We start with a problem that we're seeing, whether it's a problem with our business, a problem with how our users are behaving, and then want to solve that problem. And along the way, we will incur many more problems. So just to stick with the alchemy analogy, we will get a lot of lead and we will need to turn it into gold, because problems are inevitable. We're going to do a lot of planning, we're going to anticipate, we're going to be resilient, but we're not going to be able to stop challenges from arising. So as product owners, we're the ones that are going to have the very clear vision of what our product is, and then be able to guide others toward bringing those changes and being nimble and that agility into the product processes so that we can bring that desired outcome to market. All right. So you know that there's going to be problems. That's probably not anything surprising. You're probably also going to hear a lot of things that you've heard in other product webinars, textbooks, conversations with other product owners. What I'm highlighting here is not that there's any silver bullet or pixie dust that I have that is going to solve all of your problems for you. What I'm highlighting is that a lot of the things that we do as product owners help solve the problems that we are going to have. So if we do and follow our processes correctly, we're going to have a much easier time dealing with challenges as they arise. So let's start with the first one that I called out, which is resiliency. Resiliency can be thought of in a lot of ways. I think the one that we all are very familiar with is inoculation and using the immune system to deal with illnesses. And it's not dissimilar for what we're trying to do here. Of course, the immune system works best when it's had a little bit of exposure to an illness. It can build up a resiliency to it, and then it can work best when it is attacked full on by that illness. And that's how vaccinations work. So with that in mind, we want to do a lot of preparation in our product to make sure that it is resilient for the challenges that come up. One of the first ways that we can do that is having a well-grounded product. Right? We would want to make sure that we are looking at a problem, not a solution in search of a problem. You've heard that before. We want to make sure that that is backed up by data, that we can have observations based on qualitative and quantitative data, and then be able to form a hypothesis for which that we can create our product and our solution for. These processes of doing that groundwork, not letting it just be kind of a gut check or a hunch of how this product should work, but really putting the rigor behind it, creates resiliency. That way, when somebody comes and says, is this really going to work? Why should I fund this? Why should we spend time doing this? You'll have all the answers for that, and it makes that conversation go much smoother, and to make sure that that funding or those resources stay. Next is clearly stating outcome. Understanding the problem is one thing, but having a well-formed hypothesis with an outcome helps provide a guidepost for everybody that you're working with. Right? So you've not only stated that we want to solve X problem, but by doing that, we are going to have this outcome arise, which is an opportunity for us as a business and for our users. In addition to the clearly stated outcome is making sure that that outcome aligns with the strategic priorities of your company and your organization. Nothing will kill a project faster than something that it may be innovative, it may be fun, but it doesn't really align with those priorities for the coming fiscal year or even long term. So it doesn't get that funding and traction. It becomes a demonstration of technology, which is important, but it doesn't actually get the amount of resources behind it that you need in order to be successful and bring this to bear. I would say that there are three T's that I try to keep in mind when doing any kind of planning, and that's time, treasure, and talent. If you have a strong hypothesis and a product that's grounded in great data and analytics, you have a clearly stated outcome that's easy for people to digest, and it aligns with the strategic priorities, you're going to have a much better chance of getting any of the time, treasure, and talent that the company has to offer. Now, one of the pieces of having that outcome and having that great hypothesis is being able to have consistent communication. This product solves for this problem and it delivers this opportunity for us. And that way it can be reiterated over and over and over again to different partners as prioritization and assignment of resources is made. The more simple and consistent you can be with your communication will really help make sure the whole organization is behind you. And again, that builds resiliency into what you're doing. Now, finally, for resilience, aside from having that consistent communication, is role expectations. So where have we gotten from here in this resiliency path is we have a team and partners that understand what the product is trying to accomplish, what the opportunity it provides for the company is. They've heard that consistent communication time and again, so they really understand it. And now they need to know how they contribute to that outcome and providing that opportunity for the user and the company. Having those expectations of who's accountable for what, who's responsible for things, who needs to be communicated to or informed on, it helps imbue ownership into the final solution when everybody has a clear understanding of where they're going. All right, so we've spoken about resiliency, and next we need to anticipate problems as best we can. These challenges will pop up. You're not going to be able to anticipate everything, but the better you can plan and anticipate, the smoother things will go for you in bringing your product to market. So first, you are working, again, likely in a large organization or even a small organization with other people with other experiences. Use their experience, ask questions, be curious, be an alchemist, and ask them how they would approach things. What would they do differently based on the information that you've given them, that clear communication of what problem you're trying to solve, what kind of problems have they run into in the past with similar projects. Really pick their brain and ask them on a couple of occasions. We have heard lots of research about the wisdom of crowds, so use the crowd around you. You don't have to do this yourself. Again, unless you're in a room coding away at just an app that you're doing for fun by yourself, you're likely working with other people, and that's why you get into product ownership, is you want to work with others and bring something to market. So use those other folks to help you build out your plan. Now, additionally, when we speak about planning, is making sure that you have the appropriate amount of resources set, the amount of time and talent on your team to do what you want to do. Now, again, that's the ideal state. Understanding what those three T's you need are great. I know how much treasure I need from the company. I know how much time, how much talent I would like to have. You're not always going to get that. In fact, you're probably going to be challenged more often than not with, you only have this much money, you only have this much time, and I can only give you this many developers. Do it, work with that. Again, turning lead into gold. So plan as well as you can, given the resources that you have, and build in reasonable buffer into that plan to make sure that you have time to address unforeseeable challenges, as well as funding to take care of those challenges and address them appropriately. Last, with anticipation, although not the final word on it by any means, is an idea that I like to use, which is called a pre-mortem. You've heard of after action reviews, retros. This is kind of a pre-retro. Yeah, we'll call it a retro. But basically, you're setting the stage for everyone on your team along the path before you launch to ask, what happens if this goes wrong? Now, that question might look like this. Set everybody in the room, you set some time aside and say, this is what we're going to do. It is the day after launch. We've all been up for 24 hours trying to fix something that has gone horribly wrong. What is it? What went wrong? And let's talk about what we could do about it. Now, what this does is it allows everybody to step back from the work they've been doing. Everybody's been heads down, they've been coding, they've been looking at the budget, they've been thinking about the go-to-market plan, they've been working maybe in their own specific responsibilities and the things that they're accountable for. This allows them the freedom to take a step back and say, okay, well, from my piece, I might feel good, but I worry how my piece will integrate down the line with this other piece. I worry about us having not enough inventory for a direct-to-consumer product. I worry about us selling out. I worry about what happens if we see a spike in users. This is a great opportunity for everybody to talk about that. Now, some of these challenges may be things that are what ifs. They may be edge cases. You may not be able to address all of them by the time you launch. What is helpful, though, is you look at the challenges that have been presented, think about the ones that would be most harmful if they do come to pass, even if they are edge cases, and have a mitigation plan for that. Again, if you're worried about having more traffic than anticipated, but it doesn't make sense for you to invest in more server time or more resources in order to handle that because it's unlikely, then having a plan for what to do if that occurs is a great thing to have in your back pocket. And if you are doing e-commerce and you have products that you're trying to sell and you worry that they might be so popular that you'll run out very quickly, what do you do about that? What are your options? And again, it gives everybody a safe space in order to bring up their concerns, even if they've been too shy or too distracted to talk about them earlier, and really builds more resiliency, and it allows you to anticipate those kind of challenges. Now, the two things that we've talked about have really required collaboration along the way. And collaboration is really key to delivering any type of product, whether it's a physical product that you're creating, it's a digital product that you're coding, it's some other type of content that you're working on. Collaboration is really important. There's a lot to be said about working with other people, and other people bring their different perspectives, so use them to your advantage. And as a product owner, it's really up to you to pull those right people together and make sure that everybody has that clear vision and mission of what they're doing. Now, along the way of collaborating, you're going to have to say yes and no. We, especially in the company that I'm at, we say yes a lot. We want to please. We want to do the right thing for our guests, for our users, and for our business partners. So we have a hard time saying no. And that's okay, because it does permit us to the time and the effort to look back and go, okay, how do we say yes to this? But what you need to understand is, does that yes align with the stated outcome of your product? Does it help you deliver a better product, or does it distract from the outcome you've stated over and over and over again? In that, you may have to say no. You may get a lot of ideas from different people, senior executives, some users saying, why don't you do this? Why don't you do that? And you can't do all of those things because you don't have unlimited time, treasure, and talent. You are going to have to say no to some of those pieces. And in doing so can help you make a better product, because you might strip out some things along the way that you had intended for your product, but find that it's just superfluous, it's a nice to have, or it's something that you'd like to have, but just not right now. Being able to say no means that you have done the data and the research and the analysis to say that whether or not a request is appropriate for your product, given the timeline. Does it align with the strategic objectives? Or is it something that was just thrown out as an idea, but is sometimes taken as an edict when it's thrown out as an idea from a senior executive? These are all things that have to go into your thinking when saying no. And again, use the people around you to help determine if this is something that should be taken more seriously, that there is some other reason that you would do something that doesn't specifically align with your stated outcome. And you might need to say, yes, we can do that. We will need more resources, more time, or more talent. Also in collaboration, again, be comfortable with saying, I don't know. You as a product owner may not have the same technical background as your developers, as your engineering partners, and that's okay. The expectation isn't that you know everything. That's why they're there. That's what the role clarification is about. You will be responsible for this. You're the subject expert in those pieces. I need to rely on you to tell me what I don't know. And for you as the product owner to have the humility to say, I'm not sure about that. I need to find more information and to seek that out. Again, curiosity about how it works so that you can speak more fluently to it and address the problem that you're working on. And finally, I have said the word problem a lot. Sometimes just reframing the problem as an opportunity can be very helpful to keeping everybody moving in the right direction. Um, Saying something is a problem feels like a burden for everyone. That's just a natural tendency. This is a challenge. This is an opportunity. This is a little bit softer way. And it does show that, hey, while this has come up, this gives us an opportunity to do something better. It gives us the opportunity not to launch with this problem. It gives us the opportunity to deliver a digital product that is much more robust and be much more useful for our users. So those are the three things that we want to talk about. Just to put a finer point on it, let's say that we create a product ourselves. Let's say that we own a coffee shop. We don't necessarily need to name it, but we can call it Dodo's Donuts, just for fun. And Dodo's Donuts over the last year has really seen an improvement in their business efficiency with curbside pickup. But now that things are starting to open up and people are wanting to come in and be comfortable standing in line and ordering from a cashier, they're seeing that their transaction efficiency is slowing down. So their problem is they are not helping as many people who are coming into the shop as they were when they were just ordering things themselves. Remember, mobile ordering is essentially taking the transaction piece off of the person at the register and putting it into your hands for you to make that choice. And it walks you through a clear menu of here are the things that are available. Here are the things you can do to customize that coffee drink. And then you place order, you show up, pick it up, you walk out. Minimal interaction. You do a lot of the heavy lifting. It is much more efficient for our Dodo Donuts. Now, the problem is people are stopping to using that curbside pickup. They're starting to come into the store, and we want to incentivize those users to continue using curbside pickup because it's more efficient for us and it allows us to, service more customers. So we've pitched this now. We know it aligns with our strategic goals at our coffee company. We have the data that shows that the problem is real. We are losing users that are using our curbside pickup. We want to retain them into that space, and we want to make sure that we're minimizing the amount of people that are coming inside and using the register, which is less efficient. And we've stated that our opportunity here and our desired outcome is to solve this problem of inefficiency, and the opportunity will be able to help more customers and, of course, drive more revenue. So in this instance, we've built some resiliency by doing the data work. Again, our fictional data has told us that this is the right thing. Our fictional customer experience researchers have told us that the customer really does like using curbside because it is quicker for them. And we have been able to demonstrate that if we can solve this problem, we will be able to create a great opportunity for the company. So let's say in this instance, we are going to have a subscription option for consumers to use. So if the average customer uses curbside or places an order 3 times a week, let's say if you place an order 4 times a week, you're going to get essentially the 4th one free or at a specific discount, because we really want you to use curbside pickup. So to restate that again, we are going to create a digital product that is a subscription model for coffee orders curbside. We're going to give a discount just for fun, not just for fun, but as an incentive to keep people to using the the digital curbside pickup ordering. And that discount is outweighed by the efficiencies we gain on the business side by locking, quote unquote, people into using curbside pickup and even having them return to the store one more time than they normally would. So we've stated our outcome, we've shown where the opportunity is, and now we would go into anticipation. We would talk to our teams about what would that mean. From an operational side, what does that look like? From a technology side, what does it look like to have this set up? Is it something that our systems can handle? Is it something new we're going to have to get? Is it something off the shelf? Is it something we'll build internally? All those pieces, and building the right plan around that with a reasonable amount of padding for your budget and your timeline and the resources and talent you need. And then finally, making sure that you're being collaborative about this point. Walking into the operation and saying, by the way, there's this new product, you're going to make sure that your customers are using it and not getting any input from that operator could be detrimental to them adopting it and really pushing that to make sure that the guests that you are courting are using it. If you haven't talked to the operations and how things flow, you may be creating unknown problems too. Being collaborative will help you get through all those things. And that was just a quick example of using the pieces with any digital product that you have or any project that you're trying to bring to life, is building resiliency into that product, anticipating the challenges that you may have, and then more importantly, being collaborative all along the way to bring that to the market. So with that said, I hope this has been helpful and useful for you. Put a good amount of work and thought into this. It's not going to be perfect by any means. It's not going to solve all of your problems magically, but I hope that it does make a simple criteria for you to think about the planning process in your project and how you can better prepare yourself for surprises as they arise. So thank you again for your attention, and I welcome any feedback you have. And if you'd like to connect on LinkedIn, please do. That said, best of luck in your product journey and enjoy the rest of your week. Bye-bye.